Hello and welcome to the Rising Major League first week here. I am Lombax Pieboy and I'm going to be your color caster for the evening. And tonight I am joined by Rukter, who will be your play-by-play. You ready to get into some games, Rukter?
Oh, very much so, Lombax. Looking forward to this one as we are here for week one of the RML. For the teams today, we have Central Michigan University versus Purdue University Gold.
Yes, and some of the other games going on this evening as well. We have University of Houston versus Purdue University Black, and that's the sister team to the game that we will be watching this evening. And we also have University of Virginia versus the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and Phoenix Gaming versus DNA.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of action happening tonight. Really excited for this event as we will be going into Champ Select momentarily for you guys.
And this should be a pretty good game as well here. We've got some pretty high-ranking players. I'm interested to see what kind of game we can get into here.
Yeah, the average elo bracket for both teams is hovering certainly in the high diamonds. Some of them have been Master and Challenger in previous seasons as well. So a lot of high standard of play coming to you live now.
And with a series like this as well, I expect to see some pretty good adaptations between the series. Obviously, everybody's going to have their pocket picks, but from these players in particular, I'd expect to see some more meta picks from them. Things that you'd see going on at Worlds currently. Stuff like the Sejuani Jungle, see Maokai as well. Things like Cho'Gath should still be quite a bit of a priority. Love to see some Ezreal Jungle, which is actually banned away right now, unfortunately. As that is probably the most interesting jungle in the game right now for me. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, though.
Yeah, Ezreal certainly very contentious, can be very aggressive in the early stages of the game, get a lead, has good late game damage as well if you can provide that front line potentially from the top lane. Also maybe a bit more of a engaged support, maybe looking for like a Thresh or a Leona as well. Rakan and Brom also potential pickups for those, but with Ezreal being banned away, also coming up with the Ryze pickup. Warwick, a bit of a target ban there, and Zinjao, I know the jungler for CMU has been playing these.
Yes, and Xin Zhao actually is a pretty interesting ban. I know I haven't seen much of it, but I wasn't crazy impressed by the new Xin Zhao. Something I was impressed by, though, is Azir. Anyone who previously knew how to play Azir is going to be able to pick him up super quickly now, and he does a ton of damage, both in the early and late game now. Traded a lot of that range, unfortunately, so they're going to have to draft something that can protect that Azir, allow him to get off that damage.
Yeah, for Purdue, they look to be looking to pick up the Cogmore bot lane with Lulu. Cogmore, that is a very strong combination, can certainly scale up into the game, so that'll be an ardent pickup for them, and Janna as well, looking for that ardent sensor support.
Just going to fix this here. Wait, hang on. Do this instead.
Shifram now for CMU looking to pick up his champion, or they will look for a trade here. Picks up the Callista as well, or the Caitlyn. There we go. That will be locked in for Central Michigan University. So very nice long-ranging AD carry for Caitlyn. Lots of long-range poke again for the Azir. Currently now looking to pick up some heavy engaged tools to back them up. Sam looking to hover over the Vladimir. He doesn't want that banned against him in the second phase of bans, which we're just coming through now. Thief, the top laner, will be doing that for Purdue. Focus banning now again on the junglers. Really looking to keep Prime down in the jungle. Take him off some of his comfort picks there.
I will be able to interject in just a second here, trying to set this up so that we have the teams properly laid out.
Yeah, Kane also banned against Purdue, so very heavy focus in the jungles means top pool will be fairly open here. Against that, Kennen actually a bit of a split pusher, can be built AP and also attack speed build as well, looking for that frozen mallet. That'll be removed away from CMU. coming in with the last ban here. Rek'Sai, yet another jungler. Sejuani is available. Maokai is available. These meta picks certainly can be utilized. With such high damage backliners, especially with the Kog'Maw and the Caitlyn. Really nice scaling champions. Now Caitlyn has her attack speed buff back into the game.
Zach's actually a pretty interesting pickup there for them as well, especially with the Kog'Maw and Lulu being that backline threat. Having somebody like Zach who's going to dive in seems a bit counterintuitive. I would have thought something like the Sejuani that can lock people up, slow them down, and peel extremely well for that Kog'Maw Lulu would have been a more priority pick for them as it is left up. Instead, they do go for that Zach.
You also get that disruption factor. Also, yes. The Elastic Exchange Lock being able to level that early means that you can be a bit more creative in your gank paths.
Rammus actually picked up on the other side, though, for Central Michigan there. That is a fantastic pick against the Kog'Maw, and I'm surprised we haven't seen this pick more in the pro play. It is definitely lower skill cap, but the amount of damage he can currently deal with the buffs to Thornmail, his buffs that he got a couple patches back as well, means that he is extremely good against these hyper carry champions. If he can get in there, the Kog'Maw has to get rid of him because he does do quite a significant amount of damage. He's very hard for him to deal with.
Yeah, Thief looking to pick up the Camille against the Gnar in the top lane here.
That'll be an interesting matchup as well, and I think that's probably where we'll see a lot of the jungler attention going. Camille, huge snowball champion, wants to get ahead, wants to be able to affect the other lanes, lock the enemy laners down, start the other lanes snowballing as well. Gnar needs to get to that 2-item spike, and from there he can really take control of the top lane. Camille will have trouble split pushing against him unless she can get on top of him and stay with him, which will be hard to do with both the Black Cleaver and the Frozen Mallet that I'm assuming Prime will be picking up.
Yeah, hopefully full game 2 we can actually have them queue in LCS order, as we do have some analysts with us today. That'll be from Django, Ultimus, and Toe Knuckles, who will be giving you a bit of a mid-game interlude breakdown of the game, anything that we miss from Lombax and I. And as we go into the spectator lane now, we can just absorb the comps and look at how they potentially want to play these team fights. As you say, Rammus really looking to get onto that Kog'Maw, stick onto him, push through, going to be looking for that Gnar Rage Bar as well, seeing if he can provide some suitable ults to actually deny Kog'Maw access to the backline of Azir.
Looking at these two comps here, who would you give the favor to, just in general, knowing what these two comps can do as they scale up?
I think Purdue University has a bit more flexibility in the way they can play their comp. Whereas Rammus is only sort of like on the go. You've also got to flank a little bit creatively with him, as Lulu can certainly peel fairly well against him. Also, Zach has that possibility. And also working around that rage bar of Gnar, like I said, means that you're a little bit more limited in your gauge for CMU.
That is true. However, going into the later game here, we have two hyper carries up against each other. One of them in the mid lane, the other at the ADC position in Azir and Kog'Maw. If you do take into account Azir's new ranges, do you think that he'll actually be able to get off enough damage to affect the enemy team, especially considering there is that Zac engage there? Vladimir has quite a lot of burst damage as well going into the later game, and Camille can lock him down. Going into this later game, do you think they'll be able to put out enough damage that they can actually overcome the Kog'Maw Lulu combination that they have there in the bottom lane?
Yeah, certainly Janna and the Monsoon will have to be very accurate, trying to displace Vladimir if he tries to go aggressive into the fights as well. Zac also will have to look out for that. But Azir's placement in team fights will be crucial, whether or not he can carry a fight with the damage onto the backline of Kog'Maw. Vladimir will obviously scale up with tank stats as well, so be a potential threat in the front line himself. And whether or not he's going to be able to get through the tornado of Channa and the Gnar slows as well. Getting through the Rammus, if he can get to the backline of Caitlyn and Azir, he could really turn the tide of any fight.
Yes, and looking at the comps as well, I think a lot of this is going to come down to the early game. Although both teams scale extremely well, getting that advantage as you're heading into the mid game, I think will probably decide a lot of this. Because Azir, as he starts to get his item spikes, and Kog'Maw, as he starts to get his item spikes, both start to ramp up in damage quite significantly. Caitlyn has a alright mid game, depends on how ahead she is as well. Camille and Nar both have a 1 to 2 item spike that's going to make them quite strong in these smaller skirmishes. So I'm looking to both junglers here to really put a lot of priority on getting certain lanes ahead so that they can snowball this lead fast enough that they can take objectives like the Rift Herald, Dragons, and then push that towards their late game, get the items they need for both their carries, and then close out the game in pretty clean fashion. Personally, I'm thinking that'll be the mid lane. I'm not sure where you'd want to put your emphasis for them.
Yeah, in terms of early laning pressure, I would have thought Azir can push in the Vladimir fairly handedly. Nar also has a little bit more presence in the early game than Camille, so has wave priority top lane. So I would have thought that CMU have pushing lanes means that the Rammus can play fairly aggressive in his playstyle, maybe look to engage on Zac, as Zac can get a little bit low in the jungle. In terms of level 1 engagements as well, limited CC potential in the early stages of the game. We'll see if they are creative in their level 1 plays.
Exactly. And as we load into the game here, just disable chat there. Alright. Now as we get into the game here, it'll be interesting to see if we get any cheese strategies from either team here. This is the first game we're seeing from either team, so we do have the option for them to go for this invade. Neither of them have seen each other play. They don't know what they're going to do with these comps. They do have the Rammus taunt if they decide to opt into it as a form of CC. Actually, it looks like they might be going for the invade as well.
CMU certainly looking for something. They do have Rammus in the front line. Taunt might be available if he can skill it. Actually, Cobble going to face check this now. Sam is in a lot of issues right now. He has to flash the wall, and no one will follow him. But that is a crucial summoner down in the early game.
Drew actually took his defensive ball curl there. If he had taken the taunt, I don't think Sam would have made it out. He could have just taunted him away from the flash.
You do want to save your spells and wait for the situation. Cogmore definitely did not want to face check that bush, and Sam will have to play fairly defensive in lane now.
It does mean that they have that advantage, yes. So now that they have drawn the flash from Kog'Maw, who is the primary late game carry from Purdue, I am looking for Drew to actually go into this bottom lane now and hopefully get a kill for the Caitlyn and the Janna so that they can potentially get some more lane dominance for themselves.
Yeah, Prime was just looking to see where Zac was starting on the map, and did just check him out. Looked to try and trade a little bit, but Vladimir managed to coast around there and provide the 3v1, definitely avoiding that threat. But he will be first to lane in the top, as Camille did help with the leash.
Pretty standard start here from the junglers. Rammus starting with the red buff, Zac actually starting with those raptors for a little bit of extra experience early. This does mean that Zac could potentially go for an early gank in the top lane as well.
Awesome, quite considerable poking at level 1 between the AD carries here. Really nice knock up there by Kirosu. Just trying to wave clear the wave at the moment, trying to get that level 2 advantage.
I forgot to order teams. Oh no. Zac is heading towards the bottom side now, so he doesn't actually opt for that early gank top lane. It's going to leave the option open there for Drew to take instead. An early gank for Nar, which he actually is heading up here now as well, could mean a lot of trouble for Camille. He is actually Rolling in now.
Yeah, Rabbit's looking for it. He's actually just going to escape away under the tower. A lot of distance closed there as he was able to get to the wall in time. Difficult to gank Camille with notice.
Yeah, definitely want to try and bait out that E first if you can, so that she has no form of escape once the Rammus rolls in. Zach's actually in the bottom lane now, though. He might be looking for a gank here.
Yeah, Zach does land the knockup and joins them together as well, forcing the flash out of Janna. Kisaru having to run away, burning that summoner.
Does pick up the one summoner and trade there, so that means that they're even now in summoners in the bottom lane. No flash on the support. Oh, Big's going in there for a small trade. Is going to be traded back a little bit by Prime, though, with the rocks there from his W. So with that flash burned in the bottom lane now, it means that there's two components from each side that have no summoner. This is probably going to end up being a contentious lane, especially with that Infernal Drake now. I'm imagining that after his first back, Gungu will want to return there. But actually, Drew's looking for another gank on the top side here. He snuck into that front bush.
Yeah, lots of heavy damage. Actually, flash forward by the Camille. As Camille will pick up first blood there with the slow. Now Drew trying to trade it back, but with the tower available also means that Zach is now actually just going to get disrupted in the bot lane. Really nice place by the Janna just to be able to knock up and disrupt the engage by Gungu.
You might be a second in front of me. You had the first left before I did. Good old League of Legends. Does get the taunt onto Thieves there, but nothing going to be traded in return because of the shield from Thieves.
Yeah, managing to just get the full damage from tactical shot there. Managing to pick up that first blood in the 2v1. Really nice outplay by him. Coming back with Sheen and teleporting back to the lane, meaning that he will pick up all of the CS as well.
Yeah, that'll be a real nice advantage for him heading into the later stages of this laning phase, especially against Nar, who, as he starts to pick up that Black Cleaver, becomes really hard to trade with as a melee champion. Camille might not have as much trouble with her
Drew now
hook
looking
shot.
for the taunt on Holycock. The Vladimir having to run away will actually get re-engaged on by his Bermuda. Has to force the flash now. Gungu is looking to make this into a 2v2, but Jan has already roamed up as well. Now the Goblins are going to be knocked out as he's trying to put into more pressure now. The Cogmore's in the fray. They're trying to protect Gungu and his Goblins. TP is not available now. Lulu on the front line. Actually going to get the kill on the Zakas. Forces the flash out of the Lulu. Now Sam's on the front line. He has to run out. Blinking health bars here for Badu as they have to flee the fight.
That healed just in time to save Drew on the back of that fight. Perfectly timed from Chiffron. The Ignite was actually ticking on him there from Holy Carp. Would have secured the kill. Bit of a messy fight in general. I think Gungu probably could have gone in on that fight earlier as Thieves engages back on Prime for a bit of poke damage there.
Yeah, picking up this early Sheen in this top lane means that Prime has to be careful. As the Phage isn't quite completed, he doesn't quite have that midway power spike item.
Exactly, and Camille quite lane dominant once she does start getting those components to her Triforce. She has the ability to go for these really short trades with her shield up and take no damage in return. Now that fight's been completed towards the mid lane as well, I'm actually expecting Purdue to look to gain a little bit more of an advantage around that dragon. Hopefully set up a bit of vision control and take that with the Kog'Maw. The Infernal Drake would be so impactful for him in the late game. Just that little bit of extra damage. Plus if there are a couple more after.
Oh, for both teams, actually, Thief just trying to engage onto Prime managing to dodge out of that one. But yeah, you're right, with two very high damage mid laners and bottom laners as well. This early Infernal Drake will be crucial to both teams to really seep in that advantage.
This is interesting as well from Itsumuda. Actually going for the Morella Nomicon first, or at least the prospects.
Yeah, Gungu just actually get re-engaged on by the Aziris. He dodges out from the slingshot and tries to re-engage effectively against the Zac, forcing him back.
Actually looks like he is building towards the Morella Nomicon first there on Azir. This is something that I tested a little bit of myself as well when he'd first been changed. It does feel a lot better to have that extra mana and the ability to poke in the early laning phase rather than just going for the Nashor's Tooth as you used to on that old build. It really does feel like you have more damage. Yes, that as well.
Means that you have more shoulders available to you, and that's more harassment.
Yeah, especially with that change as well to his W passive, where you have, if you have 3 soldiers up, you gain increased attack speed. Going in Morel and Omicron into a Nashor's Tooth gives you that 40% CDR and feels extremely good when going for trades in the early game. Or mid game at that point.
Yeah, certainly. Oh, he actually dodges out and pulls away from the engage. Holy Cop trying to look to get back in, but the tool comes out from the flash Rammus there to secure the kill.
You might want to pause for a second. Like, I think, what game time are you seeing currently?
Oh, 9 minutes.
Yeah, you're about 4 seconds ahead of me.
You can just press the speed up plus button. Oh, there's a flash engage here for Pride. Tries to look to go on the tower. Is not going to perturb the Camille, as Camille's just able to walk away from it.
That's my fault then. I thought it was just because of a bug on my end. Zach is
But
gonna
flash burn in the top lane now, and Camille actually TPing back to lane, trying to now chase down onto Pride. Pride will get collapsed on his. The Thief is just trying to win the duel, and Vladimir comes up to secure it as well. Gonna be gifted over to the Camille. Now Vladimir has to run as Drew's looking for the taunt, and the kill comes down in bot lane as well, as it's fights all the way around the map here. Now Drew is tanking the 2v2. He wants to be doing this. Now the Zabuna comes into effect. There will be picks up 1 kill. Vladimir flashes away. Now Samuda has to run away from the 2v1 situation, and he will. Looking at the bot lane, having got that gank, now they're looking to take the Infernal Drake.
That's an interesting flash there from Zamuda. I think he was expecting Thieves to potentially go back in. He does end up burning the Summoner for nothing in return though, as Holy Carp did just barely make it out.
Thief is very low. Holy Carp now looking to potentially tower dive, as he will take a couple of shots. As he gets traded back down, he's only on 200 health. Infernal Drake over to Purdue University. Zach also looking now for the mid lane. He has had full health. Will he look to go over the wall?
Oh, nice out there.
Yeah, he will actually get knocked away. Now Kungu will take an extra tower shot. The Globule's passive will come up again. Holy Carp trying to look to just defend them as well. Going to take an additional tower shot. He is solo again. But Kungu managing just to escape with a sliver of health.
Really nice from Holy Carp there, just playing to the absolute extent he could with his health and getting that last heal in time to save himself from the tower shot. Saving Gungu's life in the process as well. Purdue now, though, does have that Infernal Drake as well, which I just realized the names are also backwards on the in-game. Oh no.
Alright, well, moving forward from this, we did actually see that the Relic Shield got picked up by the Cogmore. He still has that available to him, so they are just looking to rush this Ardent Sensor on the Lulu. Heavy trading again in the bot lane. Sam actually not getting the best of that. But when Bio Arcane Barrage is available for the Cogmore, Caitlyn kind of has to net backwards and just allow that trade to happen. Then come in with a Piltover Peacemaker as well, just to equalize the trade. And wins it in that scenario.
Yeah, the BFN pickaxe here on Caitlyn means she's going to have... my game keeps lagging. This is pretty annoying. Does mean that she'll have significantly more poke in this lane now and is going to be able to keep the Kog'Maw under tower, most likely. And means that they can get advantage.
Gungu coming onto Pry now. The rage bar isn't quite there. He has to run back to his tower now. 1 tower shot, 2 tower shots. Actually going to knock them back, but really nice ultimate from Gungu just to be able to increase that distance. Going to get stunned up by Thief and taken down for the kill. This could be first tower in the top lane as they are staying for this objective. Rammus in the bot trying to invade the jungle there, but that is not the trade that you wanted. We did see a complete 1v1 in the mid lane. Long back to see that, man. Oh, ultimate coming out from Lulu now as Rammus is looking for that tower dive. Monsoon as well coming out. Exhaustor back onto Sam. Many tower shots coming into Drews. He now has to run away, actually going to get taken down. Now the tower aggro goes onto Shufan as they're actually going to get flash forward by Powerpuff Eagles. As the Azir is here, knocking the Lulu into the support and picks up the kill there. Really nice turnaround for the objective top lane, ensuring that they had the numbers and winning that 1v1 with Zamulu over Holy Carp there, meaning that he was able to roam as well. 4v2 situation down in the bottom side of the map means that CMU come out with a nice lead there. They are down in gold as the first tower did go over to the Camille. Camille in a really nice place, finishing that Triforce. They are now contesting over Riftbud.
Gungu should be able to
As
make it
Thief
over.
is looking to stun him over. Gungu now looking to run away, having to actually force the flash out of Prime, as Prime does not want to deal with the Vladimir, as well as the finishing of the Triforce. Actually has so much damage now. Gonna pick off Prime as Zac escapes on the back, with Rammus now looking into the jungle, but he's gonna have to retreat there as the mid lane is coming back. Morello Nomicon, as you said, now finished onto that Azir.
I do think I'm having a pretty significant issue here where I can't actually watch it fully live. I'm about 4 seconds behind. Yeah, every time I bring it live, it just...
Shiffon actually going to be taken down. Ultimate missing as that's dodged down again by the Caitlyn. Caitlyn actually going to fall now as the move speed does come on with Caitlyn and the Whimsy. Pushed out there. Now Sam is well placed to carry this game. 2-0 uncensored, already finished, as that runic shield actually able to really propel that forward as a massive power spike for the spot lane, and they utilize that. Gungu now looking to re-engage back, flashes over the Azir ultimate, and Zamula trying to get back to his tower. He's going to take low as the chemo plate is already on him. Going to get flashed off by Drew, but Gungu just trying to take him down. Last few hit points, actually going to be able to kite away. Now Prime is back here, and Thief has joined the party as well. Gungu going to pick up the first kill. Who will fall next? A really nice ultimate by Prime, just managing to secure that as Shifon comes out with that ace in the hole to secure that kill. Now for the University, have to run out of play. Sam has been disjointed by the Monsoon.
Oh, nice ult.
Going to get picked up here as well. Now Thief is looking to re-engage back onto Shifon, but will fall intimately. Now Powerpuff Eagles has lost the entirety of their team, as that will be a full ace coming out for CMU. They played that really nicely, and a little bit of over-aggression. 4x2 will cost them the ace there.
Absolutely incredible play there from Itsumuda. Stayed alive for so long. They invested everything into killing him, and he kept getting away on that Azir. Flashes away, uses the E to get out of damage range, and just absolutely outplays them, forcing them to come into the jungle and allowing his team to collapse on them, which gave them those kill advantages, and now this mid turret as well.
There's actually a fairly aggressive teleport coming out by Thieves.
Not sure what
Looking
he's
to get the
looking
dragon
for.
control here.
Yeah.
Well, dragon's coming up in 2 seconds here. This will be a cloud dragon coming over. This will be the second for Purdue, as they're looking to graft something back from this game after getting aced at a very early stage in this game. Team fights happening all over the map. Looking at farms. Farms are fairly consolidated, but Zero and Zamuda, who played really well in that last fight, is ripping through that CS ahead of the Azir. 26 up on him. Now going to be traded back for the Rift Herald.
Looking at the gold here as well, it actually looks like it's a little under a 1k gold advantage for Azir in the mid lane. Bottom lane seems to be...
Janet going to get absolutely destroyed there by the engagement of the Zac. Now Caitlyn has to run away. The engagement comes out, forcing the flash from Holy Carp onto Shifron. He has to run away. This will be another tower down bottom, as this will be looking to be traded by Azir and the Rammus on the top side of the map. But the stacking in the bot side is still a massive onslaught here by Purdue University, trying to get more objectives, but they will recall taking that 1v1. The Rift Herald actually going to be used top. That now puts the second tower in the top lane under duress.
Yeah, and they do know, though, that Purdue must be recalling for that. They saw them back off after taking that first one. Shifrin.
Gungu on the side here, looking to come onto the Caitlyn. He doesn't expect Had to be back there. Now he is taking a lot of damage under tower. Lulu ultimate gonna have to be used there. Now the Gobble's passive is back, but Sam turns the fight around, gets 2 kills back from Bullseye to the last tower shot there, as Shifford will collect that bounty.
Meanwhile, on the top lane as well, Drew actually goes down there. Was caught out by the Camille ultimate from Thieves. I didn't actually get a chance to see the fight in the bottom lane because my directed camera decided the top lane fight was more important, so I can't actually give you much analysis on that one.
That's alright. I was just going where the action is they're really trying to trade objectives around the map there, top for bottom. Seems that the tower in the bottom did survive. Riffheld managing to secure that second tower advantage, but kills certainly coming out for Sam means that he's now got 5 kills. He's picked up that Zeal as he's looking to finish off his second item fairly quickly. Also got Sensor now finished for Janish, who wasn't too far behind the Lulu. Double crit also coming out for the Caitlyn as the IE has been completed. Zeal also on the go.
Before these fights actually took place, I was actually looking to comment on the gold there, as it was 1,000 gold lead for the Lulu, and the ADCs were almost equal. It is actually now 1,000 gold lead both for the Kog'Maw as well, and a 1.5k gold lead for the support. That in total is a 2.5k gold lead now for them.
Yeah, Gwynsu's Rage Bait is a very expensive early item to buy, but finishing that power spike with the Unsensor definitely netted them a kill in lane. Now they're pinging onto this Gnar, who is in mega form right now, but that is about to run out. Camille might look to take advantage of this. Prime going to use his ultimate just to try and disengage the fight, but Thieves using that coming into play now. Actually going to flash away. Gungu looking to re-aggress onto Prime. Drew there to stop that advancement. It's Zabuna trying to get so much poke actually does onto Sam. Now they're looking to trade aggressively, but Zabuna going to pick up Sam. This is a lot of the teamfight damage for Purdue. Drew now looking to taunt up onto Thieves. But the damage is done. Zabuna going to get picked up on the back lines. Thieves looks to go aggressive forward. Now he is onto the support, has to flash away from that one. And Gungu looking to re-engage onto the front line here. Powerpuff Eagles just looking to shield up for the team. And this could be a whitewash here for CMU. Purdue looking very aggressive here into the re-engagement. Coming out for a double kill as Sifron just wasn't there and available for the damage.
No, and this all started because Thieves actually engaged onto Prime at a perfect time as the rage was down from Gnar. Had no real way to respond, and Gungu getting there as well, dropping him low enough that he wasn't really able to take a meaningful part in this fight that ended up happening afterwards. The one saving grace is that they did manage to pick up a kill on Sam during that, so they're going to have slightly less... Whoa, Shiffron!
Yeah, I mean, that happened instantly. You were on a roll there. They will pick up the middle tower as well. Purdue certainly coming back strong in this game now, advance their gold lead even further to just under an 8k gold lead here. And the items are coming through for that as well, as Runan's Hurricanes picked up. Also got the Tiamat for the wave clear on the 7-1 and 7. Thieves playing a very nice game, as you said, taking advantage of the rage bar there, knowing that they can engage at any time, whereas CMU certainly a little bit more reliant on their cooldowns for the right fight, and they didn't find it then, and they cost them.
And Sam really hitting these item power spikes now. Has that Runans on top of the Rage Blade, going to be able to start dealing some pretty consistent damage in these team fights now. Once he does pick up something like a Bork or a Wit's End, he's going to be able to melt. Yeah, with that cloak, he will end up going for it. They're actually looking for some vision control around Baron here as well. This is what I like to see out of them. They have an 8k gold lead here. They're looking to push that vision control up and take important objectives like the Baron.
Yeah, teleport also can't be issued by Prime, as that is on cooldown. Thieves has his available, so this is a really nice placement for Purdue to really take objectives around the Baron.
And Prime actually sitting still on tier 1 boots as well. That's a bit interesting. As well as Drew here, not picking up those ninja tabbies quite yet. I would have actually expected Prime of all people to pick those up early against the Camille.
In 10 seconds, another Cloud Drake there is more engaged potential or disengaged if they need it available to Purdue, as they're looking to secure their third dragon in a row now. 22 minutes into the game. A healthy gold lead for them as well.
And it looks like they've really been funneling some of the later CS here onto that Kog'Maw, up to 180 now. He picked up that wave in the top lane after dying there in the enemy jungle blue side. So it looks like they are willing to give up a lot of their gold for him to make sure he gets those item power spikes and can be that carry for them to step up and deal the damage.
Yeah, with the Lulu as well, that's probably a good call. And having lost that trade against the Azir, they feel he needs a little bit more power spike just to be able to trade aggressively into him.
And they're actually putting some vision here into the bottom lane, looking like they're going to try and pick up this tier 2 tower here. It doesn't actually look like MCU is going to be able to respond.
Yeah, Shifrin actually looking to start off the Baron here in trade and response. This means that Zamuda actually can take this down very quickly as the Jan is just looking to defend here, forcing the teleport out of Thieves. As Thieves is looking to come into the game. Gungu on the advancement here, gonna try and get it. 2k left on the Baron here as he will be avoided as that just gets absolutely denied, and Janna will now fall there as Purdue University are here to stay and really wreck the fight on the engagement as Prime without teleport, not actually able to answer that, and the collapse coming out from Purdue, netting them the objective as well. Gungu now trying to regress onto Prime, gonna knock him back into that, forcing the flash out of him. The rage bar is up and available, but that won't matter. Lulu gonna secure that kill, and with Baron buff, they are charging down the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is just an absolutely terrible play from MCU. You know they have vision there. You know they have the 2 Cloud Drakes now. There's no way that you're going to be able to lose Zamuda getting engaged on. Is able to get away with the Shurima Shuffle there. You know that they're going to be able to get to that Baron.
Drew is looking to get back into this fight here as Holy Cock goes absolutely majestically into the enemy team. Shift for now under fire as Ignite is on him, actually going to pick up a double kill now. Holy Cock looking for Drew, but it doesn't matter. The damage has been done. They've picked up 3 additional kills here. They've still got the Baron buff. They are looking for these Nexus towers now. Drew not able to defend as the damage just isn't there. Both carries are done, and the surrender will come out from Purdue University.
And that's game 1 there. Going over to Purdue. And this is all off the back of that Baron throw there from MCU. They knew that they had the vision on that Baron. There was no real reason to start it. I understand that it was a last-ditch attempt. At this point, you're down quite a significant amount of gold, so I can understand the thinking process behind it. But the chances of it working against 2 Cloud Drakes and not having teleport on your top lane versus Thief's teleport, it's just not going to work out in most cases.
Yeah, exactly. Lombax, really nice casting game run with you. We will now pass it over to our analysts of Django, Ultimus, and Toe Knuckles.
Thank you, Richter. My name is Django Ultimus. I'm joined on the analyst desk today by none other than the one, the only Toe Knuckles. Toe Knuckles, that was a fantastic game.
It was. It was. The early game was really back and forth. It was interesting to watch. It was just one or two little team fights with just slight differences in health bars ended up giving Purdue the advantage in the end, and I was very entertained the entire time I watched the game, and even with. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just about to say, with Zamuda, I got to give major props to Zamuda because that Azir play was really impressive, and he kept his team in the game for a lot longer than I thought that they should be in it after some of the snowballing started to take place. He had several plays that just really stood out, and he really showed the power of that champion and how they kind of gave it more damage and more potential than just being a long range poke bot than it used to be. So
yeah, it was a lot of early fights, and it was a lot of Purdue getting out with just the slightest of health bars that made the difference. You saw a lot of fights where if Purdue came in and they started the fights, they always cleaned up at least 1 or 2 kills, whereas there were times where Central Michigan was coming in looking for the aggression, but they weren't able to close out on as many engages as Purdue was. That made a lot of the differences in the early fights. A lot of that comes down to the gold advantage that Purdue had built through the early top game. Camille getting a very early 2v1 kill, level 4, meant that lane snowballed hard in their favor. Also, the Kog'Maw and Lulu going with the coin and relic shield strat propelled the Lulu ahead in gold just naturally, and they weren't really punished for it. Uh, the lane wasn't punished very much by the side of Central Michigan, so probably need to shift up how they're going to play if they want to excuse me, close out on their advantages.
Absolutely. I was a bit confused by the Jana pick. I know she's one of the coin supports, and it's something that really empowers an AD carry a lot later on. I get that aspect of it, but whenever you're facing a Kog'Maw lane, especially if you're going to pick the Caitlyn to try and punish the Kog'Maw lane, I'd like to see something more aggressive to pair with that. Even if you want to stick with a coin support, I thought the Sona might have been a better option there. Still would have provided healing, more room for error, and also poke against the Kog'Maw made their life a little bit tougher, a little bit more difficult for that bot lane pairing to scale into the game. But at the same time, Gungu did a great job. He had a huge presence around the map all the way around and really made sure that his team stayed in the game. Vlad, while he was able to stay even with the Azir mid lane, it wasn't necessarily a lane he was gonna ever win just because of that long range consistent damage from Azir, something that can actually match up against the Vlad's sustain. And then Gungu did a really good job empowering his teammates to make sure that they stuck together uh, and were able to survive that early game.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something you can point at the Janna pick specifically. I liked it not so much into the lane, but I liked it into the enemy team more so. Just the engage offers. I think they were looking to just disengage the engage that Purdue brought. Didn't work out quite as they planned, as Purdue found the openings. Maybe a little bit lackluster vision from the side of Central Michigan. The the play that stands out in my head is the Janna face checking the bush after the Central Michigan traded Rift Herald for Dragon, and then Central Michigan's bot lane just walked up to their outer tower like there wasn't 5 members on the bot side of the map for Purdue. So a little bit of disrespect from that play. Excuse me. Yeah. But I think a lot of it just came down to the small skirmishes always going a little bit more in favor of Purdue. The team fights were really explosive and really fast, and I think just the goal difference made a big difference in that.
Yeah, my final thoughts on this is we're about to get ready. We're prepping the lobby and trying to get back in there and get a quick turnaround. But my final thoughts on this as we go forward is that I was really impressed because those fights were so close. It really seemed like Purdue, once they figured out that they had a secure gold lead, they did a good job of just pushing the go button and not really giving any breathing room to Central Michigan and letting them get back in. They kept rotating around the map, taking objective after objective, turning all their team fight wins into getting something off the back of those wins and not just resetting the map unless it was something that they needed to do. They took a dragon, they took a tower, and they just really snowballed their lead really well once they figured out they had that gold lead. And they just, like I said, they just pushed the go button, and it was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I also want to highlight one more thing as we're getting ready to go back into pick and ban is the fact that Central Michigan opted into not taking their jungler into the second rotation, and because of this had, I believe, 3 jungle bans against them, and Sam didn't seem to have a lot of presence on the map as Remus. He made a few good early game ganks, but on the side of comparing him to Gungu, he wasn't as effective on the map. Maybe an earlier jungle pickup for him is what they need to get him more involved, because he definitely was trying to be active on the map, but couldn't find the openings that Gungu did.
Absolutely. That's a great point because the Ramis, whereas it's really good in the early game for a ganking tool, unless you have a lot of games on Ramis, it's actually kind of hard to make his team fight presence be as significant as something like a Zac, Sejuani, Maokai, like all these big tanks that have a lot of AoE crowd control and they're just really hard to get past. I would look for them to try and pick something like that up if they're wanting to bring a tank out of the jungle.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I also really am curious to see how they switch priorities. Purdue now being on, excuse me, Central Michigan now being on red side. As Purdue saved that red side last pick for the top matchup, they played the Camille into the Gnar. They got the early snowball, and they knew once they got that early snowball kill, Camille would just continuously run over the Gnar in these side lanes. So definitely something they worked out, and I'm curious to see how Central Michigan will use that last pick. I'm also curious to see how Purdue uses their blue side first pick because they first picked Cog Lulu, and I'm curious if they're going to maybe ban out one of those champions on the side of Central and then only give them the one, or maybe if they ban them out, they don't even take either of them, and we'll have to see where Purdue uh, puts their focus. So looks like everything is good to go. So we're going to be starting the game here soon. As soon as the game gets started, we'll throw it back over to the casters. Toe Knuckles, any final thoughts before we get back into the game?
Um, I'd like to see again. I kind of touched on it when we talked about Drew's Ramis pick. I'd like to see a more front to back comp from Central Michigan to kind of empower Zamuda. It looked like he was a big driving force for Central Michigan. I think it'll give him a better fighting chance to kind of take the upper hand. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and throw it back over to the casters because we are in Champ Select.
Okay, and we are back here for game 2 here between Purdue University Gold and Central Michigan University. And we are already in Champ Select here. We already have the Kog'Maw and Lee Sin band away. Once again, I am your color caster, Lombax Pieboy, and I'm joined by my play-by-play, Rookter. You ready for game 2, buddy?
Oh, I'm ecstatic about game 2. That was a very explosive game 1, and I'm hoping for that again. Seems to be some fairly interesting bands coming out, suddenly taking into account what they played in the last game, as these teams probably haven't played against each other, possibly seen each other in solo queues. By the time you get up to that sort of like Diamond 1, Diamond 2, you do start playing against people who you played with before. Ezreal banned yet again. Echo also for Izamuda. Izamuda really impressed me on that Azir pick. I'm not surprised that got banned out against him.
Yeah,
Actually
very much a
managing to
respect ban.
solo out Sam in the last game.
Yeah, and that play in the mid lane as well, where he managed to stall for so much time so that his team could collapse around him, and they managed to pick up so many kills in return for all the work he invested there. Definitely something you want to be taken away from him.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls seems to be favouring this Lulu now as that is picked up again. Kog'Maw has been banned away, so a little bit more open, but certainly we'll see a hyper carry, maybe a Twitch in the bot lane as well. That could be really impactful.
We still have the Twitch as they're hovering it currently. We still have Tristana, Callista, a pretty big carry, and they are going to lock in the Twitch, I guess, instead, though. Twitch Lulu, very, very strong as it starts to head into the mid to late game.
Yeah, CMU have drafted a fairly comprehensive front-to-back team-fighting style with the Shen and the Sejuani. Sejuani, fantastic in the early game skirmishes, as well as just setting up the fights, being able to charge in, and being able to potentially piggyback Shen on the back of that has a lot of trading potential into a lot of top laners as well. Aurelian Soul picked up here for Holy Cop. That is an exciting pick to see.
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting one. Aurelian Soul, not necessarily popular, but he does have an extremely good ability to roam and get his side lanes ahead. We see it time and again for people like Huhi. He's gotten so good at the champion that just can't leave it open against him because he is so good at affecting the other lanes and getting his team ahead. that you have to deny him that pick. We'll see if
Yeah.
Polycarp has that ability potentially, as Tristan is picked up on the other side for the AD carry there.
Picking up the Tristana probably quite wise, because when you're facing
Yep.
a Twitch, you do want to counteract that with your own sort of hyper scaling AD as well. So waiting for another 2 ban slots if Tristana, say, and maybe Caitlyn gets banned as well, then you can be fairly limited. Maybe pushing onto a Xayah or something like that. Also in the meta, quite prevalent. Janna now going to be counteracted as well, which was picked up in the first game.
I think that was a very good time for them to pick up the Tristana as well. If you left it until the next set of picks, she wouldn't be available. With these 2 bans here, you wouldn't see John and Rakan gone. You'd probably see Tristana and Callista picked or banned away so that they couldn't be picked and have something as strong as the Twitch to go against. They do ban the John and Rakan and Rek'Sai and Kayn though, which we did see banned in the previous game as well.
Mid lane is still very open. I haven't played versus many Aurelian Souls. It can be difficult to play into that champion. You certainly need a wave clear champ in this mid lane to counteract the push. He will probably start the corrupting potion, just really try and push out and Zerge the first two levels and waves, pushing that out. Look for those early roams on the champion. Tristana very good at counteracting that as well, just being able to rocket jump away, replace herself in the fight. If she can get some resets as well, can really pop off in the later stages of the game.
Now that I'm actually looking at the picks and bans here, I'm actually quite impressed by that ban from Echo. Echo is already a fairly strong pick, but he actually plays quite well into Aurelion Sol. So they had this set up quite a bit in advance there. They didn't want the Echo who could push the waves just as quickly as him and get on top of Aurelion Sol, denying him that damage. Banned that and the Azir away, left that pick open so that they could have that roam advantage for themselves.
Yeah, this is an interesting pickup by Izmuda. They did actually have a Katarina, which is his champion in solo queue. He has a very high win rate on that champion. LeBlanc now picked up for him against that Aurelion Sol. Can be a little bit limited in wave clear since the nerfs to that, but should certainly have a lot of pick potential. And going into Fiora as well, have thieves on this champion. Going into the Shen certainly means that Shen will have to certainly ward up and time his engagements in the other side of the map against that 1v1 champion of Fiora.
This is an interesting matchup as well. The LeBlanc in the mid lane into the Aurelion Sol should be a fun one to watch as well with that assassin there against Aurelion. But this top lane is where I want to put a lot of focus. Looking at the picks here, you have that carry bot lane. They're both looking to scale up. Great places to gank. The top lane is what's going to affect a lot of the map here. You have that Shen with the global teleport who's going to be looking to protect most likely the Tristana so that she can keep pumping out that damage. But Fiora here is the perfect counter to this. If you can get through the early game where Shen has quite a significant amount of damage if he's landing that taunt onto you, passing his sword through you, then Fiora is going to be able to scale up. And anytime Shen tries to teleport, she's going to be able to take out half his health bar with that percent HP damage that she does have.
Yeah, I also like the Taric pickup into the Twitch. General counters for the Twitch will be a Brom to just stop the damage straight up, or the Taric to use that Cosmic Radiance to stop the damage altogether. So that used at the right time could really turn the tides and allow Tristana to develop the damage onto the carries. Also, Purdue have a very explosive team fight comp here, as they are lacking a little bit in frontliners here, so Aurelion Sol will probably need to be quite aggressive in his placement in these fights to really get the damage down, whereas you've got this 3-tag lineup on the side of CMU with Shen, Sejuani, and Taric, meaning that Shen can stay on the sides and then stand united onto the front line and provide that extra damage. Also gives Izmuda the opportunity to work around his cooldowns, to really wait and bide his time for the right time to engage, rather than having to unleash it all at once.
Yes. And looking at the mid lane matchup here, we have that Aurelion Sol against the LeBlanc. Both champions are able to roam quite effectively, so they can very easily team up with either Gungu on Gragas or Drew on Sejuani to make a 4-man happen or a 3-man happen in the top lane if they so choose. and start getting one of those lanes ahead so that they no longer need to focus on them. Both Tristana and Twitch, as they start getting items, are going to very easily be able to outdamage the other because of how their damage works. Twitch being able to stack that poison and get the additional attack speed to buff up his damage, and Tristana getting the explosive charge there as well. They're going to be fine on their own, and the Fiora and Shen as well. Either of them get a lead, they'll be able to sit tight in their lane. So I'm looking to them to affect this early game with their jungler and get one of those lanes ahead so they can put their full focus into the other and get the objectives on that side of the map.
Yeah, CMU managed to get an early kill in the first game versus Sam. They do certainly have an engaged team at that level 1, so I'd expect them to look for that again. So we'll see if they're a little bit more creative. I'm sure Sam will not want to face check any bushes.
About to get into the loading screen here as we get into game. You had to hedge your bets. Who are you going to give it to here, Rupter?
I like CMU's comp here. I feel that Purdue has a little bit of a harder time to execute their comp. It will be all about this mid matchup and whether or not the Iranian Soul or LeBlanc can provide that lane pressure and roam first on the map. And as you said, it'll all be up to the junglers whether or not they can get the Fiora ahead or behind.
I do agree with you that there is a very nice back to front team fight comp that they have there from CMU, but I am very much in favor of this explosive comp that we have coming out of Purdue here. If they can get any sort of advantage, they can blow this game wide open.
Oh, if they can get like a 3-4k gold lead, hit those item spikes, potentially dive with the Gragas as well, who will be looking to build those tank stats, they can really accelerate their gold lead quite heavily, but they need to reach that point.
Alright, and doesn't look like we'll be getting cheese strats like we did at... Oh, well, CMU grouping quite significantly in the bottom lane again. They did invade last time, almost got the kill onto Sam.
Yeah, they're looking to onto Powerpuff now. Powerpuff Girls actually going to get tazzled up, but flashed away from that. That was probably smart. The chain CC could have come through with the chains and also the Sejuani.
Yeah, definitely a good flash there. Would have been for sure dead if you hadn't flashed that stun. Too much damage, both from the LeBlanc in the early game with that E and the Tristana there, being able to get off the explosive charge with that multi-stun.
Yeah, that was certainly a wise flash potential there. Looking to see around the map here, but they will all be starting on the bot side. So Purdue will be looking for the red buff and CMU looking for the blue. This will mean that they'll match up in the top side, and 3:20 around that 3-minute mark, we'll see if anything happens in the top lane.
Pretty standard starts in the jungle here as well. Going for that red and blue buff from each side. It looks like they'll both be pathing towards the top side. Zamuda actually starting.
Oh, heavy trade, a level 1 in the mid lane here. Zamuda isn't getting the best of it. Corrupting Potion proccing for both of them as he actually has to flash away as he felt like he was gonna... Ooh.
That's an interesting start there from Zamuda. Maybe things have changed, but to my knowledge, the typical start was to get the chain there on LeBlanc, so that you would get both procs there and be able to get your passive off onto the enemy laner.
I think he wanted to match wave clear, and he went in for it, actually having to jump into the Aurelian Soul to stop the damage coming from the just passive balls surrounding him.
Did end up having to build a flash because of that. Oh, nice dodge from Powerpuff E-Girls there. Just managing to sidestep that dazzle.
Yeah, again, we do have that really shield start as they go aggressive again in the mid lane. Zamuda having to trade heavily, and both laners now out of pots in the mid lane. But CS certainly going to Holy Carp as he is aggressing and also CSing the wave at the same time.
And this is what Holy Carp wants as well. A pretty typical strategy from Aurelian Soul is to blow all your mana very early, push these waves in, and now as you can see he's actually recalling the mid lane there as my game lags again and I'm probably behind you now. So he does get that early recall off, and he's going to actually purchase most likely a Dark Seal here. There it is, and a Control Ward. So he's going to look to keep pushing these waves in, use that control ward so that he makes sure Zamuda can't spot where he's going, and go and try and affect one of these other lanes now.
Do you think LeBlanc was the right choice into this Aurelion Soul? Like, I'm thinking with the team fight, they've got this massive front line of Aurelion Soul and Taric and the Shen available to them. Maybe a bit more team fight champ. Maybe you could have played like an Oriana in the mid lane as well for a bit more control. Maybe like a Victor or something with a lot of AoE
Taunt on the
damage.
tower.
Looking for that. Thief's getting very low in the top side of the map.
Very nice taunt out of Prime there, just within the tower range. Manages to get him taking a couple extra tower shots, and he's going to have to play a little bit back now. Actually,
Yeah,
Gungu
doesn't
coming
actually
out.
prop the vital here is Gungu is looking actually to come in, does actually flash onto Prime. Prime having to back away from that, but surviving that engagement. Gungu burning his flash in the process. Prime still has his. I don't think they'll look to tower dive.
No, I
We've
don't
got
think they
those
have much
flash down.
damage. They do have, actually, the Aurelion Soul pathing up a little bit, though. No, it doesn't look like they'll actually go for it in the end. Just looks for a bit of vision control there with that control ward and his ward in the bush.
Yeah, placing that aggressively into the enemy jungle there.
They do have this red side jungle warded up.
Oh,
quite a
now they're
lot.
going back in. Aurelion Soul in trouble, but since Bermuda's gonna get popped up by Gungu,
Whoa.
gonna assist the first kill there. As now Drew's trying to face in the 2v1, gonna flash forward aggressively onto Holy Cup. Holy Cup having to flash in return. Now Gungu's looking to play more aggressive, gonna actually net the double kill over to the Aurelion Soul.
Very
Majestic
nice.
start here for Padu as the Aurelion Soul of Holy Cup very ahead of the curve now with those 2 kills, and also a substantial lead in CS. Up 15 CS already. That is a full 2 waves. Burning the teleport out of it, Zamuda.
And this is not what you want. We're 5 minutes into the game here. There is about a 1.5k gold lead for Purdue now. 1,000 of that is on the Aurelion Soul. This is the guy you want to be getting out of his lane, affecting the other lanes. He has 4 Dark Seal stacks now and picks up the Boots of Swiftness first to aid in his pursuit to get the other lanes ahead as well.
Look
This
how
is
fast
exactly
he's going
what
back to
Purdue
lane.
Yeah.
That is just crazy. He can just burn all of his mana, just get back to lane so quickly now as well. Nice CSing under tower, just juggling that aggro. Misses that last one, but he got 2 of them. Clearly played this champ before and accelerating that lead.
Yeah, this is the exact place they want to be in. With that Infernal Drake as well, I'm actually
Oh,
thinking
he's got
that-
the red buff. He's looking to play aggressive here again as he gets Zamuda down to half health. This LeBlanc is not paying off in the early game at all. This leaves Aurelion Soul to roam down to the bottom potentially if he wants to.
And I think that's definitely the place he's going to be going in a lot of these cases. The Infernal Drake is the first one up, and they have the river warded currently, but as soon as those wards fade, getting those kills in the bottom lane means they can take that early Infernal, get even more of an advantage, and help out the Fiora in the top lane
Drew
afterwards.
is on the other side here. Holy Cup has to run around. He does have boots and swiftness, so he is very fast on his feet, and Drew not actually able to get that. He is going to poke out and stun onto Drew. He is now out of lane. Having pushed that wave, though, means that he isn't losing a lot in the mid lane for being out of the lane for such a long time, getting chased away from that.
Zamuda actually losing out on a couple CS coming in to help Drew there, losing it to the turret instead. So even though Drew shows up, it still goes in advantage of Holy Carp
Change
there.
actually does land now as Holy Cup's looking to actually aggress an ultimate back onto his Zamuda. Zamuda doesn't quite have the damage as the last chain proc, not going to take him down. Holy Cup playing that very close to his chest.
Yeah, very nice
Gungu
there.
there for support.
Just gonna clear the wave there with the barrel. Is actually going for that Bomby Cinder as well, much more classic build rather than that Runic Echoes you see a lot in solo queue, where it'll be the Runic Echoes to help your lane snowball and then get something like the Iceborne Gauntlet and Spirit Visage to make you a little bit tankier.
Yeah, certainly Tiamat now finished for Shen, as Shen has developed a little bit of an early gold lead against Thiefs. Thiefs wasn't able to finish his own. Also trading a little bit of mobility for that extra cloth armor, just wants to sustain a lane, but really managing to be able to CS nicely on the Shen. And Gragas not really able to get up to the top side of the map to really affect that lane, as he did burn his flash aggressively onto the Shen, Prime disengaging from that very nicely.
Prine actually has a huge advantage here. It's not really shown in the gold, as it's actually quite close there, other than the standing CS he has to pick up here. He's still sitting on his ultimate, and he has teleport. Eve's teleport isn't up for another 2 minutes, that must be. or a little bit longer.
Oh, Gungu now looking to go topside again. Actually just going to get taunted away from Prime, playing this very nicely with that freeze under tower that he has. Prime has to be a little bit careful of his health bar, but Thieves really can't take too many tower shots as he just doesn't have the armor to take anything from that. Oh, Gungu looking back again, actually flashes again, and now he's going forward. Thieves will pick up this as the last man, will try and get this, and slow comes out from Drew. Now he's tanking under tower, he will be healed up from the passive of the ultimate. He will finally go down. Now Drew is in the 2v1 situation under tower, going to get stunned up by Holy Cop. He will get his third kill of the game. Now it's Zamuda trying to regain control of this. He's going to look for this 2v1, going to land a second chains onto Holy Cop. He just doesn't have the damage at this point to finish this off, though. The last little ticking health bar, but Holy Cop managing to make the outplay and win that trade.
Yeah, huge damage from the ultimate there as well. Just managing to pop Zamuda, and this means that he's going to recall at this point. He's already got the start of his Hextech GLP, and he's going to start to absolutely dominate this mid lane.
There's a bit of a trade in the bot lane as Exhaust has come down onto Sam. Sam now having to run away with his passive. Now that means Powerpuff Girls has taken the damage from the Tristana. The winning waves are coming back, but Cosmic Radiance being burned now. Flash onto Sam as he's looking to play aggressive. Powerpuff Girls gonna go down as Channel's actually channeled onto the Tristana. That'll be a 3v1, leaving Fiora to farm in the top lane.
So at least at the very least now, they have a slight advantage in the bottom lane that they can try and press here with this Infernal Drake. If they can get this going for them, it means they have some sort of an option to play through now on the map. Rather than having a losing mid, your top lane's a little bit behind the Fiora at this point, and now you do have that slight advantage in the bottom lane to play off of now.
Oh, Beast is on the wrong side of the map here. Zamuda's trying to land second chains again. Actually going to miss that. Zamuda now caught under the tower. As Gungu is trying to pick this up. There's 3 in the top lane as Zamuda's going to get taken out for the 3rd time. He is not having a good game on this. Azir is much more his style as he is struggling to find purchase for the 2nd game.
And again, this is, I think, down to what you'd said earlier about the pick. LeBlanc can match the roams from Aurelion Sol, but I think she has a lot of trouble dealing with his early game, whereas something like that Echo can match the wave clear from the Aurelion Sol and keep him in
the... actually having to flash under tower as the tanking coming out from turret will be traded back. On that, Twitch managing to pick up that kill, but the bombs are coming out for MPhil as that is gonna be 2nd tower as it is already taken in the top lane. Traded on that as Gungu is looking to take more objectives in the top. Actually, red buff is now going to be pocketing onto Prime. Prime is looking to come under the tower. Thief is also looking for the re-engagement. Ultimate going to come out from Gungu, trying to get the explosion cast out of the tower range, but that's not going to be successful. Now the grand challenge actually propped by Thief as Prime is now looking to take this under tower, but Thief is actually tanking the tower, not what they wanted. This might be a 2v1 outplay by Prime as he gets double kill under tower.
Very nicely played by Prime there. Bit of disrespect there from Thieves. Didn't actually go for the riposte when he needed to. That taunt was all he needed to block. If he'd gotten that, they would have gotten the free kill there, but does not get it, and unfortunately both of them fall there. And this advantage to Prime now means he's going to be able to sit comfortably in the top lane again against that Fiora.
Yeah, that was a red light for CMU as they were having issues finding purchase in this game as this Holy Carp is doing a fantastic job on Aurelion Sol. Now finished the GLP as well. Sprinkler system is online.
Exactly, and now he has 9 stacks as well on that Dark Seal, so he's going to be dealing quite a significant amount of damage with the items that he currently has. I'm actually hoping now that he starts going towards that bottom lane. Fiora does have 2 kills.
You're actually looking to catch him out here. They will use the ultimate, actually flashed away. His gap closed so much distance away from his Zamuda though, means that Holy Carp is sticking in this. Blue buff is also available and slowly gaining aggro onto that. Thieves comes down to help as well.
Nicely played there from Holy Carp again, cleansing it just in time to get to that blast cone and get over the wall and away from Zamuda, who had already used the gap closer once.
Sam is looking for this as Gunga's in the bot lane. Exhaust comes down. Enfield is kind of out of the fight now as the ultimate Cosmic Rain is coming down for that. But Tarek is in the problem area. Shentor also coming out as he's entered the fight now. Tor coming onto Lulu as Lulu's trying to re-engage the fight. But Enfield now tanking up on the damage of Sam. Drew enters the fray, and Zamuda actually comes up with a lot of burst onto the Twitch as Twitch will now fall for the Shen. Massive collapse onto the bot lane.
Yeah, and this is kind of interesting here. Thief's had his teleport up, and he actually doesn't teleport down for this fight. He waits until the fight's already significantly underway, and then the only place he can teleport to is the tri-bush there. Or no, there's a ward right directly in the middle of the fight that he actually doesn't choose to TP to. He actually goes for that tri-bush ward instead. Must not have seen it, but actually probably could have saved the lives of his
Grand challenge by Thieves as Prime is now one vital away. He will get it, and now he's tanking onto tower. Means that Thieves actually has to be a little bit careful of the situation, and he will escape. Prime just living by the skin of his teeth. Does want to try and look to defend this tower though, as Thief still has over half health.
Yeah, and this is some place that Thieves has to be very careful of. Although he would like to take the fight under the tower there to Prime, if he doesn't actually land the block onto the taunt from Shen, he's guaranteed to be dead under that tower like he was in the top lane.
Yeah, this is actually the power spike for Purdue bot lane here, as the Ardent Sensor has now been finished, so Sam is very strong in this lane. Also up 10 CS, similar items for the AD carries, as IE's been focused a little bit more by Tristana, whereas the Zeal's been picked up. But that is the difference of the Runic Echoes here. Prime actually looking to aggress onto Thieves here. Does mean that he is on the chase, as limited mana available and health bar for Thieves has to run away from that one.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that. There's no Relic Shield coming out from Emphil in these games. You do give up a lot of your lane dominance there. Oh, Gungu.
Yeah, managing to use that blast code just to escape that. Also going to aggro onto the Rift Herald, who's angry in the jungle.
Yeah, and in regards to that Ardent Sensor being completed as well, just looking at the gold, there's an almost 1,000 gold lead now for the Lulu. Both from that Relic Shield and the coin. Muda.
Muda actually also has Voice of Light available to him. Will he use it? I don't think he quite has the damage to finish that off, but Muda has to play very carefully now.
I think if he'd landed one more tick there from his stars, he probably would have been able to end Zamuda's life with the Voice of Light there.
Yeah, tower goes down as 4K gold lead has developed for Purdue University out of the astounding mid play by Holycarp, really managing to outroam as well. Gunblade not quite finished for Itzamuda as well, as he's struggling to pick up farm around the map, as he has a massive deficit for that.
50 CS advantage for Holycarp. I'm gonna look to extend that more now actually, is just
They
pick
are
up that
looking
wave.
to collapse on bot lane as Gungu does have his explosive cast available. Thieves now caught out as well, as he's holding onto this ultimate for a very long time. Thieves may be looking to trade his life back. He's going aggressively onto this turret, who's only popped Cosmic Radiance onto 3 people. Thieves now tanking the tower and will fall to the Tristana. Now they're coming back to the fight. Holycarp is in there and available. Shen going forward, Voice of Light coming out just to prevent Tristana from re-engaging onto the fight. Flash out for East Girls, chased by Izamuda. Now Izamuda has to pop back to the clone, but he has got a flashing health bar as Holycarp is still dealing damage in this fight. Finally goes down. Gungu now trying to pick up the last kill onto the support. Will he manage to do it? Just one more thing, as I think he was minion blocked.
In the end, an ace there for MCU. Exactly what they needed here. Able to equalize a little bit of this gold, and they'll get this Mountain Drake on the backside as well. Big misplay from Purdue actually. They really didn't need to stay that long for the tower, but they pushed just a little bit too hard for it and end up trading everyone's life for it.
Yeah, and they will be rewarded with that Mountain Drake falling at 17.5 minutes. Already got that Infernal as well, so they are slowly stacking up the streaks, even though they did have a gold deficit. Shen in a really nice place as well, as he's now got 8 and 1, which means that he can potentially defend against a split push a little bit longer against that Fiora.
First big item completed for both ADCs as well. The Infinity Edge there for MFL and Tristana, and the BF and Runans there for Sam. Should make for some explosive team fights now as we're getting into them. Ardent Sensor almost completed for Kisoru as well, which will just add that massive extra damage to the 2-0 and 5 Tristana, which actually is starting to get pretty big here. Although the big thing for MCU is Shen at 8 and 1 now, already has the completed Renwin's Omen.
Yeah, and the Titanic Hydra as well means that he's in a very nice place just to wave clear against the Fiora. Fiora managing to secure that T1 tower in the bot side of the map as well. Now the pressure coming down from Purdue as Thief is tanking a tower shot or two, actually taking a lot of damage from Prime here. Has to back away from that. He does have his ultimate available though, but he certainly just wants to try and survive in this lane. Doesn't actually have any lifesteal as he doesn't have the Hydra completed for the lifesteal Vamp Scepter item. And Zamuda now trying to land some chains onto Holy Carp. They will actually proc as more damage coming through. Clean's going to be used from that, but he's getting pushed down. Voice of Light trying to defend against that, but now the taunt comes in. Holy Carp looking very, very low, but now they have to back away. And File has to also jump from that as Gungu's on the front lines trying to barrage Prime back into there as Purdue managed to stall out that engagement, and Holy Carp actually manages to survive there, only burning his cleanse.
The Lulu ult coming in just in time to save him there. They did manage to split up the fight quite well so that it was just Prime on top of Holy Carp, who, yes, is quite ahead, but isn't quite the same sort of damage threat that Tristana and Blanc are, even though they're behind. Well, Blanc is behind. Tristana most certainly not.
Trying to contest for this. Actually gets smited away by Drew here, as now Sam's taking a lot of damage by Prime. Andrew also on and has to flash away from that. LeBlanc gonna catch out the support as well, as Tristana's gonna fall to a Radiant Soul. Now they're moving forward. Thieves is actually a little bit overextended here as he's trying to run away from the fight, but will fall there. Drew now also traded for this as Holy Carp is dealing a lot of damage to him in the backside of the map. Gonna get that with the flash as well. It's Zamuda trying to land the chains. Continue the fight onto Gungu as the taunt does just miss from Prime. Now they're tower diving. This is aggressive. They might just try and pick up Gungu, but they decide not to. Now Prime is taking a lot of tower damage. Holy Carp full health and mana as well. It's Purdue manages to get the kill, and will he survive the onslaught? No, he won't fall. He's got the damage as the taunt actually comes out there. Holy Carp now going to fall in retrospect for that one, and a lot of traded kills over the map.
Again, in favor of MCU, though, they pick up the Rift Herald, they get the kills, and they swing the gold lead further towards them, and they're just about to go even now as they pick up this tower. I can't understand what Purdue is doing here. They're taking fights that put them at a disadvantage repeatedly. If you look at the map, all the vision on it currently is in favor pretty much of MCU. There's very little for Purdue. They're taking these risky plays, going for that Rift Herald at the very last second there. Well, you have low health bars on a few key members, and they're losing out on these fights instead of trying to slowly push their advantage in a safe way, using the 1-3-1 they have set up with the Aurelion Soul and Fiora, and they're just blowing the lead they have.
Well, I mean, the lead that they have is now gone as it has been brought back to a K deficit, and 21 minutes into the game, that doesn't really mean too much. Certainly is Zamuda really trying to find the picks there as well. Having that mobility in the fights is actually helping him, and certainly the early game of this Iranian Soul, Holy Carp, not managing to find those last few kills that would have swung it back for his team, kind of gets baited a little bit by Zamuda, who goes very deep under the tower onto Gungu. ADC's also fairly similar resources, but we do now have the double crit items finished with that Static Shiv. Gunblade now finished for Zamuda as well, as he's looking to stack a little bit of CDR.
It's interesting, there's 3 blue trinkets on the side of MCU, and they're constantly popping these down and putting them in places deep inside the jungle of Purdue to gain a little bit of that extra vision pretty much whenever it's on cooldown.
Now Lombax, talk to me about this Rift Herald as it is slowly running out.
I think they'll probably just pop it in the mid lane at this point. Your only outer turret left is this mid lane here, and they're already looking to try and gain an advantage here, clear out the minion wave so that they can use it. they can get the mid lane tower, this will open the map up for them a ton. They already have lost their 3 outer turrets. To get this back means that they're able to put the deep vision into that jungle rather than just using the blue trinkets to get that vision.
Yeah, also Sam looking to finish that, i.e. with Tristana finishing hers earlier and the static shift now completed. They probably want to stall out a little bit and allow Twitch to purchase that item. He must be very close to doing so. Also a bit of a tipping point in the side lane as well, as we do have the Rift Herald summoned into the bot lane. That will slowly wall its way through to that one, but the lifesteal now picked up for Fiora means that maybe the matchup will slowly swing. But third item now, Gargoyle Stoneplate finished for the Shenlings. He is a monster to be dealt with in these team fights, and this heavy front line now being developed by CMU.
Yeah, and this is an interesting use of the Rift Herald because there was still a little bit of a cooldown left there. They could have decided to put it in the mid lane, and it feels very much like a bait so that they can get this dragon here. Pulling away the Fiora so that her attention's taken by that.
Gargoyle looking to go in, actually going to get baited into that as the Smite Wall goes over to Drew yet again, who won that for the Rift Herald as well. Actually going to pick up a kill with the ultimate on the backside of it, as well as he manages to escape the pit, but will fall on that. Fiora going back to the split pushing as well. As you say, it was a little bit of a bait. Third dragon for that 24 minutes, and as they are actually looking now to run to Baron. Tarek is very good. Now he's got the Ardent Sensor. They can tank a lot of this Baron damage and recover it very quickly. Bermuda is already half health. They will have to respond to this, as this is a very early Drake. Double stun coming in for Holy Cup, who's looking to come in. Cosmic Radiance will be busted. 160 kills every few seconds for that. Sam now opens up with the ultimate, but is going to get exhausted in the backside of the map. It's Bermuda going to be looked to taken down, but Shen is going to be there for that one. Looking back at the end of the fight, Sam is now re-engaging onto the front line, has now taken down the tanks of that, and the map will reset. Baron does fall over though. Drew manages to secure that.
Pretty sloppy fight after gaining the Baron there, but in the end it really doesn't matter. All they wanted was that Baron. Dropping a couple kills isn't a big deal now, as the gold is almost even. Your Tristana is online. She has 2 items, is already working towards that 3rd Zeal item. Has the Ardent Sensor and Tarek. Shen is this huge frontline already with his 3 items. Sejuani's gotten her items to become a huge frontline and provide some support with that locket. The only thing you're really missing is some more damage on that LeBlanc. And at this point, you can just rely on the Tristana for damage as long as you're keeping her safe in these fights.
Yeah, I'm looking at the items here, and I mean, they're 1,000 gold behind, but you've got that advantage in the AD carries by that Zeal item. You also have Locket finished for the Sejuani, but not for the Gragas as well. Shen is in a really nice place with half an item over the opponent, and it's just Holy Carp who has now finished that Void Staff against the it's Bermuda. But they are all in with this Tristana right now, as does have that Knight's Vow on him, also with that Ardent Sensor as well. So really nice positioning for him to be in, and potentially situated to carry this match if they can just catch Sam off with that ultimate as well and have that nice Cosmic Radiance available. Sam now looking to go aggressive onto the Shen, but doesn't really want to commit to that fight, as Torque could come out from him to just disengage it.
And looking at this now, the Targon's Brace as well, giving a slight shield to Sam. They're really going to have to work hard to try and keep him safe in these fights, so that he can deal with the Sejuani and Shen, because he is their consistent DPS other than Aurelion.
Is trying to go aggressive onto Thieves, actually burns the ultimate out of Thieves, but can't get more than 1 vital, has to back away from that. Means that the pressure now building in the sideways for CMU is emphatic, as 2v1 again in the top lane, but just not enough damage as Prime has finished all of these armor items.
The longer this game goes, the harder I am seeing it to be for Purdue to win these team fights. They are lacking a little bit for the front line. They're relying a lot on Gragas to disengage the right members of the team. It seems a lot more conditional than the go buttons that are there for CMU. You have Prime who can taunt in, flash, and get an engage on someone important, Drew can
Fight
throw
actually
in
going
there.
under tower now. Drew also following him. Sam actually managing to kite out under the tower now. This is really good for him. He's in a really nice spot. The ultimate coming out from his spray and pray being used effectively there. Cosmic Radiance coming back. Holy Cup taking a lot of damage from the Tristana. Actually going to get jumped into the tower. Has to jump away. Also going to disengage with his own ultimate. But now RML is out of the fight, and the Taric is getting mown down here by Gungu. Drew looking on the side, looking for potentially a re-engage. Sen also entering the fight, going towards up onto Gungu. Powerpuff Eagles trying just to appeal for that tank, but Gungu might be forfeit for this, as it's Zamudu trying to pick up the... Zamudu gonna have to flash away from that one. High intensity there. TP not available for the Fiora. He has to just keep pushing the bot. Thieves is not available for this 5v3.
Originally, this fight looked quite bad for CMU. They engaged without their actual damage dealers. They used the go buttons that I was talking about there. The ult in from Sejuani does lock up the Twitch, has to use his Quicksilver Sash to get out.
Actually getting polymobbed onto the side, has to back away. It will fall actually to Holy Cup. That was very aggressive there. Gives them a little bit of respite to try and put them back. Purdue looking to go aggressive now. Holy Cup trying to get onto M-File, forces the flash out. From now on, Holy Cup so low, getting chased down by Prime, but on the backside of that, Twitch will take down the Tristana. Now the carries the...
Thieves is on the in here.
Sam is looking for this again. Thieves is, as you say, on the side and just pushing that majestically into the tower. Kiriso now actually going to fall down to the Twitch as Twitch picks up the triple kill. Massive play there by Holy Cup to get the Tristana low enough for Twitch to win that. And as you said in the side lane, Thieves actually going to pick up this inhibitor as well. This is a massive play by Purdue to try and get into this using the comp, and the grand challenge coming out by Thieves now, meaning that Prime has to run back to his Nexus towers. Also going to collapse on now. Zamuda trying to get into play here. Forces the flash out of Thieves, but the chains will land. Actually going to get stunned up effectively using that. But he's run out of mana, he's run out of health, and will fall.
Quite a series of events here, and this all starts off of that engage from CMU under the tier 2 tower in the top lane. They don't have the damage originally to take the fight, but they bait the team of Purdue in, and they eventually get their damage dealers to come in.
Picking up onto the 80 carry now. Sorry, we are going to have to disrupt his Zamuda's taking very low against Holy Cup. Now Tarek's coming into the backside of this, trying to stun up Will onto Holy Cup, trading for that kill. And Gungu now having to flash away from the 3-man unit. Drew looking for a re-engage. Prime also has taunt available. Fights happening thick and fast here. Dragon also live. That'll be contested again. Just slowing down Gungu, having to run all the way back to his base the long way, as Zamuda wants more of this fight. Actually going to keep going on. And does he have the damage? He doesn't have a Void Staff yet in his build. Means that Gungu now TP for Feast comes into play here. Zamuda having to run away from that. Actually gonna have the Shen ultimate available to him, trying to get Gungu again. Now he has to kite away as Grand Challenge onto Zamuda. He's now trying to play this 2v1, and Zamuda might have his cooldowns back available to him. Actually gonna miss out onto the change as TP surviving with the lifesteal against the Shen now. Zamuda not being able to produce a lot of damage onto Thieves means that he will slowly fall. Got a little bit of a shield on there. He's trying to run away. He's on a sliver of health. They're actually focusing now onto the LeBlanc Gungu solo. He actually goes back in. He's going to take a lot of minion damage as well, as they're now coming. They are super minions as well. That is a double kill over to the Fiora. And top side of the map again, Holy Cup now looking to aggress onto the Taric, but he's dodging that. He's literally running down for the Tristana. Can he make the attempt?
They're just trying to stall. There's minions on the Nexus already. If they can stall the Tristana here, potentially get a kill on her, Fiora's collapsing in. This might be game.
This is Purdue looking for the victory. They are under tower. Redemption comes out as well. Now they're taking the second Nexus tower. That will fall. Drew, there's just no damage as the carries are already dead. Tristana's dead for another 35 seconds. This means that the Nexus is available. They are trying to look for this double trouble coming out as the carries will take down the front line, and that will be the game, ending in a 2-0. Purdue goal coming out in a great fashion for the first game here in the RML.
That is an absolutely insane ending to the game there. This whole series of events lasts from that dive under the tier 2 tower in the top lane all the way to the end of the game here because the fights continue across the map.
Yeah, that was Its Bermuda going very aggressive onto the inhibitor tower, as you said, in the top side, falling there, managing to get MFL low with Holy Carp there, and just snowballing it from there with the split push of the Fiora coming in strong there.
Him falling under that tower sets off the chain of events where Purdue is able to re-engage back onto CMU, stop all their recalls, allow Thieves to get that inhibitor, which starts the waves pushing in the bottom lane. Then he's engaged on, ends up dying. This means that CMU then ends up trying to look for more kills while Thieves is down, ends up having Thieves teleport in to save Gun, who then is able to push the wave in the bottom lane as the rest of the team stops CMU from recalling and is able to join up with the Fiora. Once all damage dealers are dead, there's no way to clear the wave, and Purdue wins.
Well, it was fantastic casting with you, Lombax. We do have our analysts, so I'm sure we'll have a lot to commentate on this game. That will be Django and Tonocles coming to you in a moment. A wonderful casting with you, Lombax. Thoroughly enjoyed that. We do also have another stream tomorrow at 9 p.m. That will be for the championship of the RPL, and another game on the next Saturday for the Prestige League. These games will come to you live at 8 o'clock RML. This will be for week 2 coming up next week. Fantastic game 1. Thank you very much, Lombex.
And thank you as well for casting. Had a great time with you, Rupter, and these were some great games from both Purdue and CMU there, showcasing some pretty good gameplay, especially CMU coming back in game 2. They'd just taken the time to take the game a little bit slower, maybe towards the end there, rather than going for these repeated fights at the time when you do have this team fight advantage. I think if they'd looked for the team fights rather than the small skirmishes, they probably could have come out with the victory and pushed us to a game 3 there.
All right. RML does not disappoint, Toe Knuckles. RML does not disappoint. Game 2 between Purdue, Gold, and CMU, ending in, what was that, about a 3-minute slugfest between the teams. I'm speechless at the end of it all.
My notes have it at about 27 minutes to 32 to 33, so there was like a constant action-packed series for 6 straight minutes where someone would die, someone would respawn, let's fight here, let's fight there, just fighting all the way across the map. I don't know if you go to amusement parks a lot, Django, but that felt like a roller coaster, and I enjoyed the ride, man. It was awesome. Definitely great to see CMU bounce back, not just within the series, but within that game, just to put up a fight, not get rolled over after they kind of had a poor start, giving up 4 early kills to the Aurelian Soul, and they didn't ever say die. They didn't quit. They just kept pounding and almost found their way back into the game, but Purdue ended up pulling it out. So
Purdue ended up pulling it out, and I was honestly shocked at CMU for giving them the opportunity to. At the very beginning of the entire last 5 minutes of that slugfest, you saw on the map where Purdue had no pressure on the map. The Fiora was split pushing, but she had just barely made it past the halfway point. CMU were knocking on both the middle inhibitor tower and the top side outer tower, and they were able to find a pick, they were able to find a tower, and it was fantastic because Purdue wasn't even anywhere close to their base. And then they overstep, and they overchase, and they overcommit, and it leads to the Ifs, I believe, was the top laner, Fiora, just pushing straight through that bottom lane the whole way to the inhibitor line, taking up multiple objectives. The gold didn't really matter too much. It was the pressure that she created on the map. And it was pressure that CMU didn't need to give them. They could have recalled earlier. They could have been happy with what they got, reset the map, and started the push and pull all over again. But instead, they tried to push their luck. They weren't able to connect a lot of damage onto Sam underneath that outer tower, and that ended up getting flipped back onto them. And it was just, as you stated, perfect words, a roller coaster of both emotions and plays.
I do want to highlight on a few key plays that may or may not have been noticed by some of the viewers, just because I thought there's some things that when you're kind of watching the action, you're getting caught up in everything. You kind of miss some of these awesome plays that some of these high level players are making. There's a 5v5 in the bot lane around 17 minutes, and it kind of started out really poorly for Central Michigan, but it was actually an incredible ult by Vitalik for Central Michigan that he got down onto, I believe, 4 out of the 5 members, and it really turned the fight, and it really allowed for Central Michigan to play to the strength of their comp, which is that front to back team fight. And it's what actually got Central Michigan back in the game was that team fight, and I think a lot of credit goes to the Tarek. His name escapes me at the moment, so I'm sorry for that. I'd like to give him credit, but
Kisaru was his name.
Kisaru, yeah, and it was an incredible play that probably is going to be underrated by a lot of people that are watching, but it's really what turned that fight and what turned the game for Central Michigan and allowed them to go toe to toe after struggling in the early game. So major props to Kisaru showing his strength on that pick and on that champion, who is a good champion in the meta right now, very underrated. The only tank champion that can build ardent sensor really. So um, if you are a support main listening, I definitely recommend you give it a whirl and practice that champion. So
I believe that was the exact same fight where I saw Emfel, the Tristana, jump straight into the face of the Aurelian Soul, had the Shen ult on her, and then flashed out as soon as the Shen got into the fight. That was a crazy interaction. Definitely trusting the Shen shield getting not to get blown up, jumping straight into the middle of the fight. The fights were just insane throughout the entire series. And little by little, it seemed like Purdue always had that edge, except for that middle part. That middle part in game 2 where CMU, I don't even want to say they were clawing their way back because it looked like they were ahead. They were making plays so good that it looked like they were playing with the gold lead when they were consistently at like a 4 to 2K gold deficit. So a lot of props for CMU's mid game, but were a little bit impatient and didn't push and pull the map quite correctly. They bit too much off in the top lane and let Fiora take the bot lane for free.
um, it it really shows how a team that works well together can kind of weather those punches, survive, and play to their win condition. At 29 minutes in, when the Fiora started the split push and things didn't look that great for uh, Purdue, they knew that they had their win condition going on in the side lane. They just had to give it enough time to occur, and that's why they weren't necessarily fully committing to the fight, even though CMU was trying to bait them out from underneath the tower, trying to get that kill on the Twitch, trying to get an inhib of their own. Purdue slow played it, allowed their Fiora to get up there, and it was basically that whole just stop the back scenario. Our Fiora's getting the inhib, and then of course we talked about already the roller coaster that really got to its hills right there, where it just looked like at any moment the play to win the game was going to be made, and then there was a counterplay, and then another counterplay, and then another counterplay. But major props to Purdue University for knowing what their win condition was, executing on their win condition in both games, and really just working well together as a team. That being said, I don't want to take anything away from CMU. I thought they played extremely well in their own right. Maybe you need to clean up a little bit more. It looked like there were some fights where Purdue was a little faster to react as far as getting to the fight and being on the same page. So that might be something that CMU works on in their practices together, is just anticipating the next move, the next fight a little bit better, because it looked like Purdue was one step ahead in that regard, and that I think is what ultimately let Purdue win these 2 games. But again, when every fight ends in blinking health bars for both teams, you know it's a good series. So
Yeah, strong showings from both of our teams, but overall the match does go to Purdue Gold 2-0. That'll be it from Toe Knuckles and I on the analyst desk. You had Rookter and Lombeck Spyboy on the caster for you. Next Sunday, we will be here again with University of Houston versus DNA, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, I leave you with this amazing series that we had.